Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. I'm Yetta Decker.
And I think I'm still Ken Decker.
Still is.
Yep.
And every home is luxury is the title of today's show.
What a great show.
I know, what does that mean? Every home is luxury.
Well,
how can a $200,000 home or $187,700 home that we're going to feature on this show, how can that be luxury?
because every home is the owner's castle. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what price range of property. We want to treat your home from a marketing perspective and a care perspective because every seller is luxury.
Yeah, okay.
How do you like that?
That's awesome.
All right.
So what's that really mean? Give me the nuts and bolts of that.
Well, I think what that really means is that every home, regardless of the price range that the home is in, and every seller, regardless of the price range of home that they own, deserves to have the best representation and the best marketing possible for that particular home.
So they deserve a luxurious experience.
Right, regardless of price point.
So Yetta, what qualifies you and I as a luxury agent?
You don't know the answer?
Of course I do.
Oh, okay. So you're asking questions that you already know the answer to.
Yes, because quite possibly the people listening and watching this maybe don't know why we qualify to be luxury agents.
Okay. So we have actually taken an extensive number of courses and also helped an extensive number of sellers that in fact are selling what we would normally classify as luxury homes. And in Ottawa, that would be anything, generally speaking, in the $750,000 and above price point. And so we've taken a number
You
of...
know what, $750,000 makes it even sound more luxurious than $750,000.
It does,
Doesn't
doesn't it? Yeah, it does. So
Okay.
anything over $750,000 in the Ottawa and area market would generally be referred to as luxury. Now, in other markets, that wouldn't even come close to what they would typically refer to as the luxury market. And in other markets, it might be $300,000 or $400,000. It really is very specific on what area that you're talking about. In any event, we've taken some extensive courses on it to really learn how do you best market a home with a luxury feel and a luxury appeal. Mm-hmm. And so what we decided when we've done many of those courses is what is stopping us from taking those concepts, those strategies, and really employing them across all segments of the market. Because everybody deserves a luxury experience, even if their price range of home is not a high price point.
Absolutely.
Did I say that succinctly enough?
Oh, that was beautiful.
Would you like to say it more succinctly?
No, I would just say that we've also, not only have we taken the courses, but we've invested in our business and invested in ourselves, in our ability to market properties.
Right.
Right?
And
Yeah.
therefore it had the experience to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So it's three things, I guess.
Yeah.
What are the top three? The education,
Yeah.
the experience,
Mm-hmm.
and just investing and applying everything that we've learned.
Right. Right. Now, luxury is an interesting word
It is.
because it's different luxury for different people. You know, we sold a little bungalow. It was the first home this person had bought. You know, they're in their 50s, and it was their first home. It was a cute little bungalow, not what I would call luxury market and price range, and yet for them, this is like their first home that they've owned. They're not paying rent, and it's just wonderful. And I've gone over and seen them, and they've put some money in. They've taken out some walls. They've put in some new flooring, building a big, shed in the back, and really just taking that ownership of the property and really enjoying it in a luxurious way.
Right. So everything is luxury because it's what we make it. Does it serve us well? And if it serves us well, then it's luxurious to us. And so even from a marketing perspective, we wanted that same mindset to be employed. So as an example of that, it might be something so simple, well, maybe it's not so simple, something like the property brochure. We don't do feature sheets. We don't do MLS printouts. We do something called a property brochure. It's a luxury feel of marketing material that represents the home as well as you could represent any home, regardless of what price point the home falls in. So it's a 12 by 18, full glossy, silky feeling paper. I mean, the paper costs more, just the raw paper without print on it, than most people would choose to pay for printing on the material. And that's because we wanted something that had that luxury feel. There's no reason not to create that for everybody. Because a buyer buying a home that is less expensive, as Ken just indicated, it's luxury to them.
Yep.
It's still just as precious and important and valuable to them as somebody buying a $2 million property.
Yep.
There is no difference for the experience of the person.
Yeah, and so that's just one of the marketing pieces.
Right.
And we're using the exact same magazine feel, luxury photos, high quality photos, and high quality print on a super high quality paper, whether your property is 200,000 or 2 million.
Right.
The same property brochure is created. Now, the 2 million may have more pictures, more because it's got more rooms.
So it may have more pages. We may have to create something that's larger because you can't tell the story necessarily in a fewer number of pages.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell the story. That's an interesting choice of words. Because sometimes when realtors are marketing, they get caught up in the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, garage. Bless you. This is nothing to sneeze about, by the way.
No, it's not.
And so we can use realtor lingo, which doesn't really paint the picture of the home. Right. So what we've gone to is story text, story copy, which would really paint the picture of the lifestyle, maybe the care that's gone into the home, the upgrades. It's talking more really about lifestyle than it is features. It'll talk about the benefits of those features as opposed to the features in themselves. Right. So it's a distinction there.
Well, and it's an interesting piece that you start talking about storytelling, because that's the thing we have for generations going back and back and back. What captivated people was the story. They didn't even have it in writing. They just simply had the stories that got told generationally and from one person to another person. And so really creating that same feeling and that same flow with every home, because if we just go with the standard way of telling a real estate expose almost on a house, they all sound kind of similar. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's the price, where's stuff located, what are the floor finishing? And there is so...
And really, all of that information is available in the data part of the sheet.
Right. And so it's there. We don't say we don't want that available. That's certainly available. It's just not the headline.
And it's not the story.
And it's not the story.
Yeah.
Or story or the headline. So what makes your specific home unique? Is it the flow of the home? Is it the way you navigate through the house? That may be the story. It may be the exquisite gardens. It's a similar bungalow to the one 3 doors down, except it's got extensive secret garden. I was just looking at one the other day, and it had 7 little areas in the yard, all cordoned off for different uses. And so feature that, because that's the story of that house. Is it an older century home? What's some of the back history maybe? Is it the way the home is maintained? Is it the quality of what's in the kitchen? Because that's not the same across the board. So sometimes the story becomes around specific features. Is it around the fact that you can live, play, and work in the same environment? That would be a bit of a story. So creating and locating, looking for specifically that thing that makes that specific property unique. And even in a townhome, you can do it a little trickier, and yet it can be done because they're not all identical. There's character that's been put into that specific home that now becomes the story.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the story of the person who's lived there, what they've done, how they've lived there, how they've enjoyed it, what the children, how they've grown up in different schools or whatever. and then putting that package together so that it attracts somebody of the same kind of family dynamic that's going to move into it, because probably that family, if they've outgrown it or the kids have moved out and they're downsizing, or right-sizing, we like to call it, then that family experience is what the other family's looking for, so they can relate to that. And so that helps say to them, hey, I want to go look at that property.
Right, because
of the story.
they can relate to it. And you don't write the story so much as to what it was like for the people that were there. You write the story in the context of the new person that's looking for the home.
You can as well.
Right? That's another way of sharing the story. So great long copy will always outdo short bad copy.
Yeah, bullet points.
Yeah, bullet points will not draw people in to the same degree as something where you're going to captivate people. If you're writing long copy and it's not very good, now that's another story. That's going to bore somebody to tears and they're not going to be able to get through it. But I'm sure you've all read a long book instead of a short book. Not necessarily by the length does it make it better or worse. It's by the quality of what's written on those pages.
And then pictures are huge. I've seen so many pictures on the internet of houses that really, how they shop now has changed. They'll shop.
You mean how a buyer might shop?
Shops for a house. They're looking on the internet, they're looking at social media, Twitter, all those things that we take advantage of. And we put super high quality pictures out
or
there.
Short captions, if you're talking about Twitter. It's how to be short and concise and grab a
attention.
compelling piece. So that's where the headline piece that I talked about earlier, what's the title of the story?
Yeah.
So we always look for a title.
So capturing a home now with a point and shoot or a cell phone is not good enough. We spend well over $5,000 on our camera and then upgrade the lens to have a proper wide-angle lens that doesn't distort your walls, doesn't make walls, not too wide that it's making things round, and yet creates a capture of the room. I don't know how many houses I've seen where the realtor's taking a picture of a bedroom and there's the bed and you don't see any of the room. Or here's a bathroom and you see the toilet and you don't see any of the bathroom. You've got to be quite wide angle to get a powder bathroom, for instance.
They're almost impossible.
They're tough.
So sometimes no picture is better than a picture, right? Sometimes not taking a picture of a very small room makes more sense than taking a bad picture.
Or not setting up the atmosphere, for instance, closing the seat on the toilet before you take the picture. It's little things like this that make it a luxury marketing piece. Because we look at all the little details.
Right, and that's part of luxury presentation. So now we're talking about how do you present your home as a luxury. So the homeowner has to cooperate and participate, and maybe even more than cooperate, really participate and collaborate in creating that feel.
So if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team, and we're discussing how we have taken what we've learned in the luxury market and apply it to every home that we market. Now, there is a little exception to that, and that is we're not going to put in a small home in a magazine that's designed for luxury homes because it's just...
Well, you're putting it in front of the wrong people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to do more harm than good.
Yeah, the person shopping for the $1 million home doesn't want to see a $300,000 townhome in the magazine. In that particular magazine.
Not in that magazine, unless we're talking to investors and all of a sudden the investor does want to see that townhome because that may be a great investment property, right? So it's really about targeting. So that's another piece of treating it, every home like luxury, is making sure it's marketed and targeted accurately.
Yeah. Target marketing and specific marketing will always outperform general marketing.
Always. Because it's not about getting a lot of eyeballs on the property necessarily. It's about getting the right eyeballs on the specific property. It's about getting the property in front of the people that may in fact be interested in it versus just people seeing it. And that's part of luxury marketing, is targeting.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So we believe that every client deserves guided wisdom.
Yes.
And so we've spent a lot of money on becoming professionals in our industry.
Right.
Not just a real estate professional, but top-notch industry professional in our industry. We believe that every person should be valued. And so your house is where you're living, and if life is changing and you want to sell it, or life is changing and you need to buy something, we value you as a person and then go out and find the best thing for you.
Or sell the home that you have.
Yeah, at the best price we can. Right. And we also believe that everybody should or could belong to a great community. And so when our clients work with us, they become part of our community, almost like part of our tribe, part of
our family.
Our family, yeah. And so we care about them deeply, well beyond the transaction.
Right. Well beyond buying or selling a home. And I think that's part of a luxury feel of experience as well.
Mm-hmm. And then communication.
Oh my goodness.
Highly important. Whether you're selling a small little condo, a medium-sized house, a townhome, it doesn't matter. People want to hear from their realtor how it's going. Even if we have no news, they want to hear from us that we are thinking about them. We are marketing their property. If there's no showings, we're going to find out why are there no showings. Is it pricing? Is it condition? Is there something we can change? What's happening, right? So that dialogue, it's almost a dance between us. There's a dialogue going on, and it's a two-way communication, because if it's not, then it's not a luxury feel.
Right. And so you have our cell phone numbers. If you're working with us and we're working with you, then you can reach us as much as we can reach you. If you're feeling like, hey, I need to hear from them more than I have this week or more than I have in the last little bit, then you reach out as much as we reach out. And that's what he means by a dance. It's not a one way. It's a wanted collaboration, a wanted partnership, a team atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And I think that creates that higher quality feel.
Yeah.
Both in the home, because it actually impacts the home. How you feel about the whole experience you're having actually impacts how you're going to leave the home.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want to leave it ready for every showing. So creating that right lighting, the right smells, the right feel as people come into the home. Maybe the soft music playing, the TV screen, if it's going to be on, just with soft calming pictures rolling through it.
Aquarium or the fireplace.
Yeah, like those. And all of that just creates a feel.
Not the Swiss Chalet rotating chicken.
No, because that makes you hungry and that doesn't really work. So everybody coming into your home also wants to feel that it could be their castle. Mm-hmm. Not only you as the seller having a luxury experience. Now we're going to flip it a little bit and talk about the buyer having that luxury feel of experience when they come into your home. Mm-hmm. And how do you create that? Well, really, those things I just said: lighting, smell,
temperature,
sound, the things you see, calm in the home, not a lot of extra stuff, a less in the home is actually more in the home.
A softer energy, like a bouquet of flowers or something like that, will actually affect the energy of the person coming in. And I would like to talk about, there's a little bit of a misconception, and this is kind of, I think we've kind of hit the luxury feel and why we market every home like it's a luxury price
And we
home.
want every buyer to have a luxury experience when they're coming into the home.
Now, recently we've had some sellers, and sellers are generally interviewing more realtors now, and that's okay. They might have 2 or 3 realtors in. The problem becomes when they don't know what they're interviewing for, or they know what they're interviewing for and it's the wrong thing. Because some people are interviewing and strictly looking at, well, which realtor is going to say my house is worth the most amount of money? And that's a horrible thing to choose a realtor by, because the market determines what your house is worth, not the real estate agent. Yeah. And so by choosing the highest price doesn't mean you're going to get the most money for your house. And in fact, it might mean you get the least amount of money for your house. because you overprice it. And the other one is choosing a real estate agent by their commission rate, because they're saying that the lowest commission means I'm going to net the most amount of money. Yeah. That's not true. It's not necessarily true, and most times it's not, because when that real estate agent is not a great negotiator for their own family's income, how quick do you think they're going to be to give up your family's income on the negotiations on one of the largest assets that you probably own? So it's very, very important that when you're interviewing real estate agents, you want to find out what their history is. How do they compare to the MLS average? How many homes do they sell? How many homes do they have for sale right now? Do they have a support team to support them when they're on the road?
To support you, not really them, to support you, because any one person can only be in one place at one time.
Yeah. And do they have a team that steps in when they do take a day off or go on a vacation? Because any realtor I've seen that works 24/7 and 365 days a year usually burns out, and they start giving inferior quality of service as opposed to high quality service. Because it's kind of like on the airplane when they say when the oxygen masks come down, put it on yourself and then help others. If we're not re-energizing, recharging our minds and our bodies by going to conferences, by going on vacation, by taking a day of rest a week, we can't serve. We can't serve to the level we want to serve you.
Well, the level you deserve to be served to,
yes.
Which is again about the luxury feel. So if you get somebody being all things to you at all times, it's really a fallacy.
Yeah.
It's not possible. And so looking for somebody that will represent your interest rather than their own interest. There's not a day. Yesterday I had 3 of those phone calls actually from mortgage specialists and people that have in fact put their homes on the market with some of these strategies that we're saying are inferior, and they're now really exasperated.
They're not just inferior, they're flawed. It's the flawed reason for picking someone. The cheapest is not necessarily the best. Unless maybe you're talking gasoline, because gasoline's a commodity. Right. Or milk. Most milk tastes the same. So if you're buying 2% milk, it's not really going to matter. You might as well get it at a lesser price.
Yeah.
But real estate agents are not commodities. They are hugely different in the service they give and the value that they bring and the amount of money that they can get for a property.
Right. So when you choose, and Ken touched on it, but I think it warrants just a little more expanding.
Oh, please do.
Thank you. When we choose the realtor that tells you the highest price, Ken said you sometimes sell for less. And in fact, you almost always sell for less. And that's because it's really, really hard to catch a chase and catch a ball that's rolling downhill. You're thinking, what on earth is that about?
Please explain.
When you get the price wrong on the onset, because somebody wants to basically have your listing so that they can bring buyers and find buyers for other homes to your home, because that's a great potential strategy in terms of generating new business for the realtor. Or it's just difficult sometimes to step in and have that forthright conversation about the value, because our home is our castle, and so often we have a higher view of our home. Even us, when we sell our home, we ask another realtor to price it just to make sure we're not getting it wrong.
Absolutely.
We've gotten pretty good at it. We usually underprice it, not overprice it now. So what's that all about? But that's because we're being hard on ourselves.
I find that when I feel uncomfortable about the conversation, generally somebody's telling me the truth. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience. When someone's telling you the truth, it might feel uncomfortable. And when you're selling a property or buying a property, that's not the time for somebody to sugarcoat things. That's when you want a professional that's interpreting the market, the condition of a property, and the valuation of the property, whether you're buying or selling. You don't want sugar-coated candy. You want to know the truth so you can feel confident in making the right decision for you and your family.
Right. And so if you get it wrong at the beginning and then you change the price, you start chasing the market, just like chasing the ball down the hill. So I am getting to the point. And eventually you settle at a point where it sells, which is almost always below where it would have sold had you priced it right in the first place.
Absolutely.
And I have story after story after story, which I don't have time to bore you with today or even engage you with today. But if you want to be engaged by them, call me and I'll share them with you
We might tell a
personally.
story next. How about next show we tell a story?
Okay, we could do
All
that.
right.
So, a couple of great properties. Main Street in Winchester, $187,700.
Oh my
What a luxury
goodness.
bargain that is.
Yeah.
And amazing kitchen.
So with 5% down, that's like $10,000 you can buy a house.
And own your own home.
Yeah.
And not pay rent to
Wow.
somebody else and pay off their mortgage. You get to pay off your own.
And that's probably going to be about a $900 mortgage roughly.
Yeah. So, if you're
If you're
interested,
paying rent right now over $900, you might want to call us on this one.
you definitely want to call us on this one. And then another one that is an amazing opportunity.
Yes, and if you like to cook, it's on Bakewell. It's on Bakewell Street. This is approximately just over 1,700 square foot townhouse and unit. So you've got a bigger yard, and you only have a neighbor on one side. Most of that is garage.
That's usually what end unit means.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
This property is up for sale at $320,000. It does have a finished basement with another bathroom down there, a fourth bathroom. So
Wow. Four bathrooms to clean. Does that sound like the story you want to be told? No, that is fantastic because it gives you so much ability to have guests, to have people coming and going,
Yep.
and they can help clean the bathrooms.
And it has a main floor den, which is perfect for a music room or an office on the main floor in a townhome. Almost unheard of. Hardwood floors, main level, upstairs. It's about 10 years old. Just a great value at $320,000. So if that's something you're interested in, give us a call. 613-860-4663. That number again?
613-860-4663. He was testing my memory to see if I could remember. Thanks for joining us on the Inside Track on Real Estate, and join us again.